I was gonna say this one thing though. You had mentioned that it's dope that there's no more border. Like you can put your art out and let it go without all of these red tape and everybody's approval. And my man ain't getting a piece of the budget. Let's
Oh
go
my
prove
God.
it. All of the old.
Red tape, my nigga.
There it is.
Red tape, my
Um,
nigga.
and earlier on this call, we were talking about this platform called Whatnot, which is now even allowing artists to or people to sell direct. Shout out to Rip and Spin Firm, but where you can create, let's just say, 250 pieces of 45 vinyl, right? And you get on your joint just like this, talk your ish, and sell direct to people. I feel like this is another
Isn't that great?
breakthrough.
But that's great. But see, this is the thing, and this is the thing, and maybe even I don't know if Tash is still on, but I think artists like that can probably speak to this too. One of the problems is um artists of my era, the era that we came up in, we were kind of like brainwashed into thinking that we needed this. Um, I mean, we weren't wrong at the time that we needed this structure, the record industry as it was. You had to get signed, and had to go through their inner workings and the structure that they created. And I remember when things started to kind of change, there were certain artists that were like that were the equivalent was, look, man, let's get off this fucking plantation, man. We can do our own thing. But there were a lot of us that stayed, and we were just like, we were brainwashed into thinking that no, 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 this is the way we have to do it. We always have to go through a label. We always got to go. You know what I mean? We were conditioned to feel that way. And so for me, even myself, it took a while. I consider myself an intelligent person, but I think it took me a while to realize that, hey, no, man, this is a way that the youngins are leading. And not just the youngins, but just people that are independent thinkers. They got out of that. They're like, man, we don't need these. We don't need that. We can deal direct. We were so conditioned to thinking that we had to have all these layers between us and the fans, and we don't. And so I'm glad that at such an advanced age, I can still learn so much about how to deliver my music. I don't need to learn about how to make it and how to, but how do I deliver it? How do I deliver it to the audience? I'm learning that, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate that the veil has been lifted, the red tape has been shredded, and to your point, this last thing that you're talking about, that sounds like a great way. We're dealing direct, and but the point is now the artists have to do the work. And now we find out who's lazy, because the thing about the whole old record company structure was you get lazy behind that because you got white folks doing it for you, or just other folks doing it for you. Now you have to do it yourself. How much do you really care about your art? You have to do the work now. And that's something that I admire about. And sometimes the youth will lead us, and they've certainly led on this. So we can take a page out of that. They can learn from us about some stuff, but we can definitely learn from the youngins in terms of this hip hop thing. And that's another thing I'd like to do moving forward. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an old man on the lawn OG rapper. I'm a kumbaya rapper. There's no need for there to be a division. I hear people sniping at us, the OG sniping on the youngins, sometimes not respecting the OGs. We don't need that. We don't need that. We need more unity on that point, and I think it will happen, and I'll always be a proponent of that. Study your lessons.